Hello, folks. Today we'll be talking to you about the self and communication. We'll be covering self esteem with regards to the social media, purchasing habits, religion, and your interest. And we'll be discussing within that other aspects of self esteem, self concept, and self image. According to the textbook, each of us has a self concept or general perception of who we are. Self-concepts are not limited to perceptions of the present self, but they also include the possible selves, or the visions of what we might become. And this is closely tied to our self-image, which is us looking in. It's a person's mental picture of himself or herself. So, if we remember that humans actually do have this ability to view ourselves from the outside in, to see ourselves through this looking glass self, according to Charles Horton Cooley, we'll understand that we see trends in marketing and consumption, which shows that people with lower self-esteem buy more and nicer things than their counterparts with higher self-esteem. The Journal of Consumer Research has proved that consumers who have been recently reminded of their own impending mortality, or the shortness of their life, wish to purchase higher quantities of food and actually eat higher quantities than do their controlled counterparts who have high self-esteem. And this isn't just true in food, it's true in the clothing industry, and it's true in the luxury goods industry as well. People with low self-esteem actually do get a boost by buying nicer things or eating nicer food.
So, one of our points is the use of social media and the effects it has on self esteem. We see this a lot as teenagers and typically more in girls. Girls are perceived to look a certain way and dress a certain way, and there is a lot more pressure put on them seeing all of this on a daily basis thanks to media. Teens share their entire lives on social media, so it is no surprise that it can have a large impact on self esteem issues. In an article found from UNT Libraries, a study says that they found low self esteem to be significantly correlated with only one comparison motive, self destruction, or results suggest the use of social media magnifies all social comparison moves for those with low self esteem. Now we can look at what kind of effects these pressures have on teens, such as bullying, or what kind of consequences we may see.
Next, I am going to explain that we have a self-esteem default. A study was conducted at Florida Atlantic University with undergraduate students to see how self-esteem reflects one's view of attractors and repellers in a person's self-concept. The study was done by a computer mouse procedure in a 3-minute time series. This examined whether the temporal patterns stabilized on evaluative states attractors or left those states known as repellers. The picture shown shows the results from one study. The attractors are green while the repellers are red. Attractors were present across all participants' self-esteem time series. This indicates all participants had at least one default or resting self-esteem level towards which they were drawn repeatedly over time. Consider a hypothetical participant, Georgia, who has a moderately positive self-esteem attractor. This attractor was not the mean of her self-esteem time series, nor her most frequently visited value. Rather, moderately positive was a self-esteem level with zero rate of change. Now I'm going to talk about the effects of bullying on the self. A child and youth care forum stated that, specifically, victims of bullying tend to have lower self-esteem as well as higher levels of depression and anxiety. Although most of these measures have included only frequency, one study found that students who were victims of bullying with a power imbalance had lower levels of school connectedness than students not involved in bullying or those who did not report feelings less powerful than their perpetrators.
Finally, we have come to our final point, where we'll be looking at how religion and interests actually can help define oneself. According to a study done by Neil Carras and R. David Hayward from the University of Michigan, older people who go to church more often will have a stronger sense of God-mediated control. For example, the belief that God works together with people to resolve problems and reach desired goals. Another thing that they both deduced while doing this study was that older adults with a stronger sense of God-mediated control will be more likely to develop interests, and older individuals with more interests are more likely to have a greater sense of self-worth. This shows that religion alone can define who people are because of their beliefs. People that have a stronger belief within God will do more with their lives and put their lives on the path with God compared to other people who just either go on Sundays or claim that they are but don't really follow the Bible all too well. We also see that through religion we can create interest and find other people who share the same views that we do, which opens up a new connection with the people around us, and they too can help us discover things about ourselves that we had no idea about. So, in conclusion, with everything that we have learned today, for our self-esteem or self-worth as we look at it today, that we show that through social media, purchasing habits, religion, and even interest can actually define who we are as people, which is amazing. With that in mind, I want to leave you with this. Every little thing that you do all defines who you are as a person. That individuality that you have, no one's the same. Every interest, every little thing that you do with your siblings or just with yourself alone will define who you are, and that's what makes this world so great.